Complete training is available on ITdvds.com. Now let's begin the training.
There are a couple ways to connect to our VMware server. And here I am on our VMware server. And as you can see, there's a new icon here called VMware Server Console. And this is the application we can use to connect to our VMware server. If you don't see it on your desktop, you can go to Start, Programs, VMware, VMware Server, and select VMware Server Console. So I'll go ahead and launch it. We have the option to connect to localhost, which is the machine we're on, or a remote host. If we've got VMware Server installed somewhere else, we can just type in the host name or IP address and our username and password to connect to that VMware server. But I'm just going to connect to the local host, so I'll leave that selected and click OK. And here's the VMware Server Console. This is where we're going to be doing most of our work. Now, a lot of times we won't want to be logged onto the VMware Server Console in order to administer it. We want to administer it remotely. So I'm going to close out of it. And it's really easy to connect to your VMware server from another workstation somewhere else. But before we do that, I want to show you IIS real quick. Let's go to the Start menu, Programs, Administrative Tools, and click on IIS. Let's just take a look at what was installed here. I'm going to expand this out, expand out websites, and notice there's a default website, and this was installed when we installed IIS. This doesn't have anything to do with VMware Server, and if it's running, you can actually right click on it and click Stop if you're not using it. This is the VMware management interface, and this was installed when we installed VMware Server. I'm just going to right click on it and click on Properties. Notice the ports it's using. For regular HTTP, it's using port 8222, and for HTTPS or SSL, it's using 8333. So this is important to know if we're going to connect to our VMware server remotely with a web browser. Click Cancel, close out. Now I'm going to go over to an XP workstation and we're going to connect to our VMware server. Okay, here I am on Windows XP, and I'm just going to launch Internet Explorer. Now I'm going to type in the IP address and the port number of our VMware server. So I typed in 192.168.6.61, which is the IP address of our VMware server, then a colon, then the port number 8222, because I'm just connecting to it right now via HTTP, and you'll see it's actually going to kick me over to HTTPS. So I'll hit Enter, and here's the SSL warning. Click Yes. And notice now we're over using HTTPS on port 8333. And this is the web interface. If we'd like, we can log onto it from here and take a look. We're going to do that in a second. Or a quick download for the VMware Server Console is just to click Download. I'm going to click Save, and I'll just save it to my desktop. We could optionally, we could have just clicked Run and installed it right there. But I want to log in and show you the web console real quick. So I'm going to type in my credentials. And here's the web interface we can use to administer our VMware server. Now, the VMware Server Console is really the way to go, but you can use the web interface if you like. If you want to download the VMware Server Console, you can from here just by clicking on one of these links. And it's the same download that we just downloaded a minute ago. And we can click Run if we like to go ahead and install it. Click Run. And I'll click Next. I'll accept the terms. Click Next. I'll just install it to the default location, click Next, and then Install. And this is going to be the same VMware Server Console that we used on the server itself. But remember, we could connect to a remote machine before. Now we're actually going to connect to a remote machine, and we'll do that in a second here once it gets done installing. Complete. I'll click Finish. Let me just close this window here. And here's that same icon we saw before. I'm just going to launch it. And now we can just type in the host name or IP address of our VMware server. So I'll go ahead and type it in. And our credentials. Click OK. And I'll expand it out. And we selected to connected to our VMware server. So now we can administer it from here just as we could administer it if we were on the server directly.